It is Transformation Tuesday, July 8th, and welcome to another episode of Style by Stevie. Remember yesterday I told you guys that I was going to bring my vision board on the show? Well, I did this vision board back in 2024. I told you that I work on vision boards, and almost everything that is on my vision board is complete. Our very special guest today, Fashion Dolls. He is an actor. He is a singer. He is a songwriter. He is an educator and the most recent college graduate. He is here to dish on all of those things, my love. I'm super excited to have him here in the dollhouse with me. But this is my vision board. Almost everything that I've put on my vision board has come to fruition. So, fueling, challenges, freedom of expression, revolution. We're moving toward the future. So many great things to come in the future for 2025. But I did this vision board back in 2024. So I like to plan ahead. Just like with fashion, you plan ahead. It is time that we all plan ahead and focus on what we want to do with the future in times of uncertainty. All right? So, shout outs to the one and only Fashion Dolls, the legendary, the iconic, and I had the pleasure of interviewing this woman, Angel Grant, who is a music icon. And she was signed by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And you know her for her single Little Red Boat, which is one of my favorite cuts. I listen to her, I listen to Sade, I listen to Cassandra Wilson whenever I want an escape. Also Cherokee the artist, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing as well too. Vision boards are definitely powerful, and it is impactful that we go and we continue to focus on the future. And I love you too, girl. We got to chat again. We got to catch up. I had such a great time chatting with you. And it was such an honor to be able to sit down and have a conversation with the one and only Angel Grant. And not only that, Fashion Dolls, my vision board, but remember I told you that I also went to beauty school as well too, and I was going to bring the photo that I took at the photo booth, because when you go and you take that test, it's a woman right there sitting by the monitor, and it's like a little webcam and it takes your picture. And I remember exactly what I wore, where, oh my God, in this photo right here, this is me. This is when I attended beauty school. This is when I took the test at State Board, and if you can see, I have on my little bow tie, my Grace Jones buzz cut. I thought I was the ish. But as you can see today, I have tresses. So a very special thank you to Melanie Nalamai Bridges for making sure that we are together each and every episode of Style by Stevie. So without further ado, this is also where I passed the test as well too. I can't show you my personal info, but do you see that pass? Do y'all see that pass right there? This is the other one too. What does that say? Pass. Boom. Both of them. Practical and theory. Licensed cosmetologist. And I don't have to renew until another 2 years. So I had to bring the proof and had to bring the receipts on the show. But without further ado, let's welcome our very, very, very special guest to the show, to the dollhouse, Davontayb Brown. Yes, and this was back in, this was back in 2013. This is when I graduated. Style by Stevie started in 2016. So the show has been going on 7 years. But just in the process of my senior year, 2013, graduating in 2016, and that's when I started Style by Stevie. So it's so good to hold on to these things. But this is the South Carolina State Board of Cosmetology, and it tells you where I passed. So here I am, licensed. But we'll get into that later. Let me welcome my handsome, incredibly talented, yummy, chocolate special guest, Davontayb Brown, to the dollhouse. The vision board. I'll show it again in case you guys missed it. A lot of things that I wanted to work on in the year, and it's about complete.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing?
Welcome to the dollhouse. It is such a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you like my intro. I had to throw all of it in there, my love. So before we get into this interview, how has 2025 been for you so far?
Mm. It's actually it's been good. It had its ups and downs, but it's actually been good so far.
And you most recent college graduate, congratulations. Could you tell us what you majored in and what was it like being able to walk across that stage? I know for you it's like a relief being able to
Oh,
walk
yes.
across the stage knowing you put in all your hard work, all your efforts, and I seen the photos. So tell us, what did you major in?
Well, first of all, I went to the illustrious Stillman College of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where I majored in music education. I got my bachelor's in music education, and the day of graduation, it was surreal. Like, it was unbelievable because I've been in school for umpteen years. So yeah, like it was emotional. I cried half of the ceremony. It was just like, yeah, I was in total awe that I finished and got done with my degree.
And speaking of music, you know you got a music icon watching you currently, and she's wishing you a congratulations. The Yoni House. I need everybody to at the Yoni House and go and follow her. Do y'all know who that is? That is Angel Grant, and I had the pleasure of sitting down and interviewing her. She was signed by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, who we know worked with whom? Janet Jackson. So I need y'all to at her. She is watching you right now. She says she is so happy for you.
Thank you.
How does it feel having an icon like Angel Grant watching our interview? I had no idea she was going to pop in either, and I'm still starstruck by it because I had the pleasure of sitting with her. I remember watching her on BET, and when her music video came out, it was just like, okay, you got Janet, you got Faith Evans, you got Mary, you got all of these female artists, but she was
hmm
the one for me that did it. But what was it like? What's it like having her here watch us have this conversation right now as we talk on music and
It's
things?
actually this actually a good feeling to know that somebody that at this level is actually
Oh yeah.
watching the interview. Yes.
Music. Let's start from the beginning of your journey. At what age did you discover the sound of music? Who was the first artist that you've listened to that came to mind?
Um, Mary Mary.
Mm.
This one of the first artists that I've actually listened to was Mary Mary.
Any other artist that has influenced you as far as your style? Because you're a man who wears many hats. You sing, you act, you're a songwriter, and it is so amazing to be able to wear all of these hats because a lot of artists they have other artists write for them, but they're going out here and they're writing their own music as well too. So were there any influences as far as the writing aspect for your
Um,
music?
I mostly get my influence from writing from like day to day life, and I get it from ideas from different artists. I mostly write classical and gospel music, so I get most of my inspiration from gospel music and the music that I sing with college choir and everything.
What'd your mama say when she saw you graduated? I have to ask, what did your mama say when she said you wanted to get into music? Your parents, because most of our parents, they have their reservations about us being in the industry. Um, because I see you do a lot of, you've mentioned Mary Mary, so that's the gospel side. Me, I'm more of an R&B, uh, jazz type of girl. And I was watching this interview with Brandy, and I'm pretty sure y'all have seen the interview with Arsenio Hall, right? Where her daughter, because you know her daughter Sarah does music as well too. Her and Monica are going on tour this summer. That was the hottest topic. Everyone is talking about it. I want to go. Pray to God she comes down here to the Carolinas. But I was watching this interview with Brandy and her mom, Sonia Norwood. And Arsenio asked her and her mother, what do you think about your daughter getting into music? And the same typical response a lot of parents give, which is no. No, I want her to be a doctor. I want her to be a dentist. I want her to do something else. Coco from SWV said the same thing to her son. No, he's going to go to school because he wanted to stop going to college altogether, going to school altogether, and focus on his music full time. And Coco said, okay, this is my baby. You're my baby. I'm going to support you. So I asked that question because a lot of our parents had the same reservations. Even with me hosting this platform, my mom was like, come on, girl, be realistic. What find something else to do. And that's why I took up cosmetology. As you guys can see, I had to bring my proof that I passed the test, state board, and everything, so you guys can see I kept my promise yesterday. But my father's first instinct was always to have a backup plan, not to just jump into something. So what was your parents' reactions when you graduated and as far as getting into music and acting?
Well, when I graduated high school, that's when, well, I decided I wanted to do music way before I got in high school. I decided that was going to be my career. That's going to be my path. And so once I graduated high school, I took it serious and enrolled in college and majored in music education and music performance. And yes, I had like Black Talk saying that I need to choose another career that I might not make it in that in this career path. And like one um somebody said that I need to do engineering, which
Mm,
my defense with that when people tell me that I say I'm not going to get into a career path where I'm going to be miserable. I want to do something that I love to do.
exactly. And don't you just hate when people tell you, "Well, why don't I don't think you'll be cut out for this, but I think you will be great for this." And that has always been the thing. But when you said engineering, you know who you made me think of? You've got so many artists that mix and master. And of course, one of them that we know behind the scenes, and she was one of the women who broke the mold for female writers so that we would have uh, the next generation of artists that are coming out right now, which is the Tylers, which is the Coco Jones, Beyonce. Beyonce and Missy Elliott were a few women because in the 90s you barely heard of women songwriters. I mean, the males dominated from Babyface and L.A. Reid to Jermaine Dupri. It's like, and I had the pleasure of interviewing Ron Cat Spearman, who's worked with Tony Braxton and the late Prince. He's worked with Prince as well too. But I asked him, I said, Ron Cat, it was barely any women writers, but when you gentlemen write for women, it's like you know the instinct. And I'm going to ask you the same thing as a male songwriter. Have you ever written songs for female artists where it's just like, okay, I've got to get in the mind of a woman to know what women actually think, what we feel? And it's just like, they give us these hits. There's just like you're speaking our language, saying what we want to say. But for you as a songwriter, as a male songwriter, have you ever had that where it's just like I gotta understand the mind of a woman, the soul of a woman?
Well, when I'm doing my writing process, I don't. When I'm trying to write, I don't try to focus on one gender or sex.
Mm,
When I write, I try to write my songs so it fits all sexes across the board.
yes. And that's how it should be. You got to understand the person's mind, the person's soul, the person's heart, all of these things and so much more. And Daniels Jerry wants to know, do you have any upcoming projects coming up?
Well, not really. Right now, I'm getting to teaching. I just got my first teaching job coming out of college, so that's what I'm focusing on right now.
Yes, yes. And you have so much talent. I see it in you, all over you. And what I love is that you decided not to just stay in one lane, but you decided to take up songwriting. You decided to take up acting as well too. And a lot of artists put themselves in a category. That was another question I wanted to ask you as well too, as an artist, as a singer, as a songwriter. Do you feel that it is important that artists expand on their musical genres and just their ability? And you know where I'm going. The most recent one, she just dropped a country album. Who do we know dropped a country album? The first
Queen,
part was more so our girl,
Queen
B.
Beyonce.
Yes. So, how do you feel about artists being labeled and placed in a box? Because it's just like, yes, we know her for Crazy in Love, Dangerously in Love, but she said, we're going to go down to the rodeo. We're going to do something different. And every artist, as they evolve, as they change, they don't like to stay the same or in a box. So, how do you feel about artists being categorized and just placed in one genre of music?
Well, one thing I blame it on the media. I blame it on people for real because once they see somebody doing one thing, they gonna say, "Okay, that's them," instead of trying to
Boom.
open mind and say, okay, if they can do this, can they do that? And that's why I commend Beyonce for doing that because she stepped out of that comfort zone. Because I know some years back when she tried to step into the country scene, they rejected her. They're still trying to reject her right now with the new album. I know that she didn't label it as a country album. She said it's a Beyonce album, but it still has the country background with it. So I don't like people boxing artists in one category because it's always more to show.
I love what Three Totally Blessed just said in the comments. We are country and blues. And I just had the conversation with Derek Muhammad, who is the agent to Karen White. We know Karen White, I'm Not Your Superwoman. Um, he did a film with Karen White. Make sure you guys go and check it out. And we were talking about them claiming country music as theirs. So I'm gonna dive into the conversation with you too, Devontae, about how they are claiming the culture when Black artists have been here for decades, centuries, and rhythm and blues and country music and folk. I mean, it's so many genres you could go back in time and they still don't want to welcome us when we are the true innovators of this musical genre. And it's not only with Beyonce, but it's another woman who's specializing in country music. We know her for Can't Raise a Man, and that is K. Michelle. And it's just like, what, why we're seeing more and more Black artists venture out and say, hey, I don't like being placed in a box. And you know who else was synonymous for doing that? Prince. Prince
Mm-hmm.
went off and he was signed to a record label, yes, but he said, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to be my own manager. I'm going to be my own publisher. I'm going to have my rights. And there are artists who have passed on since then. I can go down the list who we will never get to their musical catalog, and that is the late Whitney Houston, who is one of my personal faves. I
Yeah.
love Whitney Houston, the greatest voice of all time. And I'm gonna tell y'all a story how the first time I ever seen her perform, not in person, but on television as a young kid. Another would be Aaliyah. Another would be Tupac. If you want to go to the hip hop side, you're not going to get to that musical catalog. Prince was another one. Paisley Park does not play. The same with Parkwood Entertainment, which is Beyonce's
Right.
label. You're not going to get to her music. If she has anything released, you're just going to have to wait for her to release it.
Mm-hmm.
So it is important and key that artists own their mastery because we see how racism is in the music industry and the entertainment side. If you want to go to the film side, it's there.
It is.
And we are having to fight to own the rights to our music. Who was it? It was Ashanti. Ashanti had to go back in the studio and re-record her first debut album. And that album came out in 2002 where she has on the white, you guys know the cover. She had to go back in the studio and re-record that out. And not only her, but I think Taylor Swift had to do it as well too. So it's just like no matter who you are in the industry, in the business, it is key and crucial that you know the business. And my brother, K Tukes, shout outs to him, interviewed Taj from SWV. And that's the same thing Taj was saying. She was saying that you have to own your mastery, know the business from the back of your hand. And Devontae, for you as an educator, I'm pretty sure you know these things. You went to school for it.
Yeah.
So you know what it's like having to own your masters, having to make sure that, okay, copyright, trademark, all of these things, it goes and it ties into the musical aspect. And even your album release dates, all of these things tie in as well too. Three Totally Blessed says that she is so proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, Little Richard influenced a lot of artists, absolutely. And if you want to go back to rock and roll, or because the third part of Beyonce's album, if I'm not mistaken, is supposed to be rock and roll. The first part was like techno, dance, pop, electronica, and house. But the
Mm-hmm.
second one was more so, she said it in her album jacket. She said, this is not a, or was it the album caption when she dropped the release? She said, this is not a country album. This is a Beyonce album. So
Right.
see, a lot of artists do not like being placed into just that one category or a box. And it's important and key that you venture out because you can't keep singing the same thing over and over again because your audience, your viewers, your listeners will get tired of that. And it's always key that as an artist, you reinvent yourself. And trust me, me working in the fashion industry, I'm key for that reinventing myself. I don't stay the same. If you go back, I've done over 800 and more interviews. And if you go back and you check them out, I don't stay the same. My look is always changing. And that is key as an artist, not just in the fashion industry, the fashion aspect, but as an artist, that you venture out and
Right.
just go for what works for you. The audience is sometimes not going to understand it, but you got to do what works for you. So, my next question for you is, how do you feel about artists venturing out of their musical norms and stepping into another lane and arena?
Um, with specifics like stepping out that music norm, you talking about like acting and everything.
Yes, that
Yes.
you multi-layered, and as Totally Blessed you said, multifaceted. Yes.
Yes. So, I put it like this. I think of a singer, somebody that perform, musical wise, they're already an actor. Now, it's up to them to want to shape their gift of acting and get into the acting scene. So, what actually made me start acting was I was in college. My first act theater production was this show called Brigadoon. Uh, and like since then, I fell in love with theater. I fell in love with acting to the point to recently last year I was featured in a short film called God's Child by one of my colleagues, Moses Hobson. He just graduated with his master's at in film academy.
Mm, yes.
So I feel like this should be the what you shoot for, not just stay in one lane. Like I chose teaching, acting, singing. I dance a little bit. Yes, I know how to do a lot of stuff. I could say that.
And that's what it's about. And you said your colleague just graduated from film school. There's the next generation of filmmakers and directors. Could you see yourself stepping behind the lens as well, also?
I can see myself stepping behind the lens. I actually took videography classes while I was in college, so I like that also.
Yes, multifaceted. And there's so many artists who, as far as their music videos, we know Beyonce is a visuals girl.
Yes.
Every performance, every concert. If you go back and you look back when she's performing, you see the back, the big screen back behind her while she's performing, and it's visuals. Any
Right.
artist, you're going to see those visuals. You're going to possibly see the video playing 9 times out of 10 to the song she's performing to. But it is important that every artist owns their creativity and their craft. Imagery is important. It's what draws you in. Like, okay, I give you an example. When we go to, let's say, Red Lobsters, what draws us in from Red Lobsters? The commercials, right? The advertising, when we see them putting the crab legs and the sauce and everything, it draws you in. It makes you hungry. Or their Cheddar Bay biscuits. If you know, you know. I'm getting hungry now talking about it. But it's the imagery. It's what draws people in, the consumers, us, the everyday consumers. When we see something, it's going to make people want more or become curious as to say this. The eye is a very powerful thing. And as an artist, you have to make sure that you're giving the right imagery, the right representation as key. Shout outs to my girlfriend. I see you, girl. Um, Making sure that we continue to show visual imagery through every album, through every masterpiece. And another one of my favorite artists is, I'm gonna take y'all way back because I am a music head. Uh, Nina Simone. Nina
Mhm.
Simone, who's one of my favorite
Yes.
singers. She has a quote, and I'm pretty sure you've heard it, Devontae. It says, "An artist's job is to reflect the times." So for artists like Kendrick Lamar, artists like Beyonce, artists like Janet Jackson, uh, if you want to go to the girl group aspect, TLC, what was their message? Their message was safe sex and being an independent woman. And so was Salt and Pepper. And I can relate to that as a woman myself. being
Mhm.
fierce, being independent, being unapologetic, being yes, I'm very sexual and I own it. I own my sensuality. I own my femininity. I own all of these things that make me woman. But messaging is key and crucial and important to your audience as well too, because the audience will take away from that. And I wanted to know for you as an artist, as a director, as a creative, what is it that the next generation that is following along in your footsteps and the next generation, so forth on, what do you want them to take from your legacy?
I will just going back to teaching students. I just want them to learn their career path and know that they can do anything they put their mind to. That there's no barrier that can hold them back if they push forward and they if they push forward and keep going, they will make it.
Yes, absolutely. And again, you got a musical icon here yourself. Angel Grant is watching your interview, Vontae. This is the woman who was signed to the same by Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. When we think of Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, we can't help but think of Janet Jackson's Control. We can't help but think of Little Red Boat by Angel Grant. We can't help but think about Karen White, Mary J. Blige, who are some of the artists that they've worked with, some of the women that they've worked with. And Angel was one of those women. So it's key and crucial and important that we surround ourselves with these artists who came before us, like yourself, Vontae, like an Angel Grant, like the next generation. Did y'all see when Jill Scott at the Essence Fest gave Patti LaBelle her flowers? Patti LaBelle is 81 years old. She's in her 80s. It is key and crucial that we give flowers to the ones that have crawled before us. And this is coming from me as someone hosting this platform. I've been hosting Style by Stevie for about 7 years. And there were people that came before me that had their platform and just a way of hosting and their delivery, their style, their timing, like my brother K Toops, like my other brother, and you guys know him, Demario King Jives, shout outs to him, like my colleague Bubs the God, like my other colleague Alvin Tit and Tat, this for that. There were so many that came before me that had their platforms and their collectives of the message they wanted to give to people. So it's key and crucial that we as artists, as creatives, make sure that the message resonates with the people in some sort of way. I could put on a song and listen to a song and it can take me back way, way, way back and give me a feeling. What was the first song that you've heard that gave you a feeling, just a state of mind like, wow? I know for me, when I'm in, because I'm an R&B head, I know for me, the first song that I heard was Sade's No Ordinary Love, and it's sensual. She's very mysterious. But I'll get to Sade after Vontae. But Vontae, what's the first song that you heard that took you to a place, just a space?
Um, I'll say Michael Jackson, Human Nature.
Mm. And you know what? I could go back and I could watch his performances all day. And it's so funny you said that because I've been watching his performances before we came on for our interview. And it was when he did the VMAs and Janet was there with him. This is 95. If you go back and you watch that performance, you can't help but have the same reaction how I'm reacting right now, like just wow. Every one of his music videos, he has dozens of them. You go back and he is the most electrifying performer in
Yes, he.
American history. Like his dancing. And I think the next generation of male artists have definitely studied him, like the Chris Browns, like the
Right.
Ushers, like the Omarions. They've studied Michael Jackson. The same way Blue Ivy studied Beyonce, and y'all seen her walk out and did the deja vu dance routine, the same as her mother. The next generation is learning. They're watching. So it's important and key that we continue to inspire the next generation that is coming after us. Because I'm going to be gone and the next girl is going to come along and host a platform, but do it different, the same way, you know, do it different than me. It's not going to be like how I've done it, but just in her style. But Sade, I was saying the song Sade, No Ordinary Love. Like Sade is very sensual. She's very sensual. She's very mysterious. And she takes you to a place where it's just like You could just put on your buds, put your earbuds in, and just close your eyes and listen to her. And she soothes you. She relaxes you. That's the same for if you were to put on a, let's go all the way back in time. Ella Fitzgerald. If you are a jazz lover like myself, Ella Fitzgerald, uh, Mahalia Jackson makes you feel it. If you really want to get, if you really tap into the spirit, she was one that made you feel it. And you got a question from Daniels Jerry. He wants to know, can you sing or dance?
Um, like sing, actually. I can sing, yes. Um, the song that I can sing. Okay. This song, I actually wrote this song. It's a gospel song. It was actually featured in the short film that I was in. It's called "You're the Lord My God." It was actually led by a female, but it can be led by any gender. But the words, this song actually came to me back when I was going through the worst. I was at rock bottom. It started as a prayer. The words of the song is, "Lord, please help me. For you, the Lord of everything. For you, God of a second chance. You're the Lord, my God." Um, but yeah, that came to me as a prayer, and then like a year passed, and then I was like, I need to put this down on music. So a snippet of that song. Lord, please help me. You're the Lord of everything. For your Lord of a second chance. You're the Lord. You're my God.
Mm, see, that's anointing. That's a gift. And you
Thank
have that, Bonte.
you. Thank you.
You have that. That's what I said, how music touches the soul. We could be in a place where we find inspiration from the most inanimate things. It can be family, it can be a friend, it can be a loss, it can be a new love found. And we pull that inspiration from some sort of way and we write about it. And sometimes you can take songs, some people will take poems and turn them into songs. So it's all about creativity, and you have that. You have that gift and that anointing. It's when you
Thank
close your eyes and you were able to sing on the spot right there, and the audience is, look at there, all the love. That's what it's about. So to anybody, if you have a song you want to sing or something you want to say in your heart, it's key and crucial that you write about it, that you talk about it, because God has given us the gift and ability to be able to talk about what inspires us. And I know what has inspired me, I would have to say, to do this platform is my mom for sure. My mom for sure. Let's look at there.
thank you. Thank you.
Your vocal ability, your your strength, your triumphs, everything you've been through. Just that in a matter of seconds, I've seen that. And that's key and crucial. And I hope a lot of people take from that as well too. So that's why I brought the big vision board on the show today, because today's show circles back to around what we talked about yesterday with Brian, which is honing in on your craft. And exactly, three totally blessed. You never know who you touch, who will be the influence. Music is supposed to music, and I say it all the time. If you go back and watch my interviews, you guys know me. I say it all the time. Music is like medicine for the soul. And an artist's job is to administer that medicine. Even though they're not physically doctors, they're doing it in a way through their music.
Right.
And you could put on a certain song and it can take you back to a certain place, make you think about your first love, falling out of love, moving on, uh, getting back to your true self. Music can inspire you and touch you in so many different ways. How many times have we seen stories where people literally will say, "Oh my God, I woke up out of a coma because of your song. Your song has gotten me through this A, B, and C." So Three Totally Blessed said it best, and that's what I've always been saying as well too, which is music calms the soul. It saves people's lives, and it's key and crucial that we continue to keep listening to these artists because we could put on an album, and I know for me the album that got me through some dark times, and yeah, again I'm an R&B soul girl, Mary J. Blige, My Life.
Hmm.
And the pain that she was feeling, if you go through track by track by track, she talks about falling in love, being happy, all of these different things, believing. But when you get to the album title track, My Life, you feel her pain, you feel her struggle, you feel what she's trying to say. Look into me, get to know my story. And each and every one of us as an artist or just as the listener collectively, we all have a story to tell. And that's key and crucial that we continue to keep telling our stories. And that was going to be another question I wanted to ask you as well, too, which is how important it is as artists, as creatives, and for the consumers out there as well too that are listening, that they continue to tell their stories.
Um, it's important to tell your story, like, because if you don't tell your story, nobody will. Or if you don't tell your story, some people could tell your story for you, but they're not telling the actual truth. So it's always important for you to tell your story, before somebody else do, so you can get the truth out.
And you are the, and I tell people this also, you are the author, you are the editor of your own destiny and dreams. So nobody can take that away from you. You have the power. There is power in the pen. So whatever you write down or put down, I have a diary and I'm always writing after at the end of each and every interview, like, okay, this happened, da 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 da, da, this happened here and here and here. But I want people to take away from that also, from what I just said and what Vontae just said, which is there's power in the pen, there is power in your craft. And we touched on this yesterday also about honing in on something that you are passionate about doing. So I want you all to be intentional about doing something. All right. So, with that being said, let me move on to a lighter note because I don't want to get emotional. All right, Fashion Dolls, it is time for our games here. I'm going to let Devontae host my show today. So, in the second segment, which is called Turn the Tables, Devontae is going to ask me some questions. And I know for my new viewers out there, you're like, who is she? We want to know, who is Miss Stevie? We want to know more about her. Well, you'll get to know a little bit about me through his questionings that he asked me in the second segment, which is Turn the Tables. But in the first, we're going to be getting into Devontae's guilty pleasures. All right. So it's in a segment I like to call the rapid fire. All right. So you have to tell me 5 things that you can't live without. And a lot of my guests will say their family. Sometimes they will say their they will say their favorite football team, their favorite drink, their favorite film, whatever. What are 5 things that Devontae can't live without?
Yes, first of all, God, my
Mm,
family, uh, candy, music, and uh, just just the basic needs, I guess.
all right. There you go. That is 5. That is 5. And I love that you started off with God and family. My grandmother is 80 years old, and she means the world to me. And she died and she came back to life. And I'm gonna tell you how, because they found a blood clot in her. I've never shared this story with anybody on the platform, but thank the Lord they got it. She's
Yes,
still here, 80 years of living. And has a powerful testimony.
that is a
And she
blessing.
always tells me before every interview, before going into an interview, before going into a show, her and my mother always tell me, put God first in everything that you do.
Yes.
Put God first in everything that you do. And
Mm.
humble yourself now, because if you don't, God will truly humble you. And I've had experiences where I almost lost this platform. Y'all wouldn't have never even heard of me if it wasn't for me humbling myself. And I'm so thankful to have these moments where people can tap me on my shoulder and call me in and say, okay, girl, get it together now. You really need to. This is not the time to be playing games. So let's be real. All the time he will do it. And I'm so thankful to have my grandmother here. I can call her on the phone. And another thing, when she was in the hospital for that procedure, she didn't even know she rode on the helicopter. So my mother asked her, she said, Mama, how you getting back to town? She said, I'm going to find a ride with somebody. Because they finally told her she came to, and they finally told her that she rode on the helicopter. It was the funniest thing in the world. She said, I'm going to catch a ride with somebody. And then she said, they don't got no steak, no pork chops, and nothing in here. My mother's mother. Yeah. So my mother's a Libra, I'm a Scorpio. So you know that we have a family full of opinionated Black women, and they will let you know right up front if something is not to their liking. But my grandmother just blurred out, everybody couldn't do nothing but laugh. My uncle came down from the military. He served in the Missouri. He's now an ordained minister. And he came down to see about her and brought my cousins and his wife as well, too. And it was so much fun to be able to connect with the family. And she had to stay with my cousin for a couple of days. But yes, she is truly blessed to be here and be alive. She said, I died and I came back to life. They brought her. They caught it. They got that blood clot out there. And then it's like it runs in my family because my mother had one as well, too, and she had to go get one taken out. Multiple surgeries. And I remember a car accident in 2009. I would have been in middle school. So to have my mother, because a lot of people don't have their mothers, they're blessed. If you got your parents in your life now, cherish them. Because that could have been it. God could have called her home. And I just got off the phone with my mother a few minutes ago. She is a Libra, so she is stubborn. And you can see where I kind of get my feistiness and my stubbornness from as well, too, a little bit. And they say we are our parents' children. But let me move on. Again, I'm trying not to get emotional because I'm not trying to mess up this beat. Thank you, Melanie. But I'm going to pass the microphone on down to Devontae here. And Devontae is going to ask me as many questions as he wants. For my new viewers, you'll get to know a little bit about me through his questioning, all right? So take it away, Devontae.
Okay, so one of my first questions, what or who influenced you to do what you are doing right now?
For sure, my mother, the women in my family, my aunt, Connie, my mom's sister. My mom has 4 sisters. And each and every woman, all 4 women, they are very opinionated. Mainly my aunt Connie and my mom. They are so much alike. They're just like me. They come with the fire. They come with the sass. And what I love about each 4 of these women is that well, 3, because it's 4 of them all together. My bad. Let me correct that. That's my Aunt Patricia, my Aunt Judy, my Aunt Connie. So it's 3 of them. And my mom is one as well, too. So that's 4 sisters. But out of 3 sisters, all 3 women are opinionated. So that's where I get a lot of the inspiration from to do this platform is Black women, the women I grew up with. My sister, Jessica, may she rest in grace. And last month, we just celebrated her birthday on the 29th. So she's in a better place, and I know she's watching down on me. She was opinionated also, too. My girlfriend, Felicia, who is here. I don't know if she's still here. Sis, if you're watching, give me a blue heart if you are. I just seen her pop in. Just Black women in general inspired me to do this platform, the women in my life. My mother, mainly, is the main key source because I've seen her literally stand up and fight when she's seen people being mistreated. Not physically fight, but just vocally use her voice. And that's what made me started to use mine. I was picked on a lot in high school. And that was somewhat of the inspiration for me finding my voice, coming out and being opinionated and speaking up and being an advocate for people. So the women in my family for sure is the inspiration. Yeah.
Okay, so and that question was a two-part question. I was gonna ask,
Yes.
how did you get started, and what stumbling blocks did you have to cross over to get to the point that you are now?
Ooh. How did I get started? I started Style by Stevie right after high school. I had no clue what I was doing. And like I said, I graduated from beauty school in 2013. 2016, graduated from high school altogether, had my license and everything because I failed one of the parts of the cosmetology exam. Went back and took it. And I was telling Bryant this on the show yesterday. I said I had to go back, and I remember crying all the way back home. And my father said, "How much is that test? You're going to go back and you're going to take that test," studying all the way there. And I passed with flying colors. And this was actually when I went and took the test again. This little shot right here, me and my bow tie and my buzz cut. Yes, I thought I was the ish. I was trying to be like Grace Jones. I had my little mohawk. But yes, how did I get started with Style by Stevie? It came later down the line in 2016. And it was originally called Weekdays Topics. We would do it at 11 a.m. and we would talk celebrity pop culture. But I said, no, no, no. It's got to have a name. It can't just be Weekdays Topic. That's so obvious. It's got to be something that draws people in. You know what I'm saying? And I was sitting in my room brainstorming one day, and I looked at a Vogue, or was it Harper's Bazaar, one of the magazines. And I said, okay, you like fashion? Oh, cool. Let's do something. Boom. Style by Stevie. And I can remember later down the line, me and my mom trademarking it and everything, getting the paperwork to get it trademarked and everything so that people would know that it's mine. Because when people see it, they see my logo. It's very simple, plain and there. They think fashion automatically. That's what a lot of people think. When I reached out to Devontae was like, "What kind of platform is this?" A lot of my guests that I reach out to, they're like, "What kind of platform is this?" They say style. I'm not really into fashion, but I'm like, no, no, no. It's much more than that. It's a lifestyle. Get into it. It's not only just that, but it's beauty, it's fashion, it's entertainment, it's sharing your stories, it's fun, it's laughter, it's a good time with me. I'm a girl that loves to have fun, and I want my audience, my viewers, to have fun as well too. My charm, my charisma is what draws you in. The mystery behind the woman is what draws people in. And that's how I came up with Style by Stevie. It was just from looking at a Vogue magazine. Just from that. I said, okay, because I was going to do, okay, current and style. And I'm just like, nope, nope, that's not it. No, that's so boring. Make it to the point where people think twice before watching. Like, is it fashion? Is it beauty? What is it? And people now get it. They now get it. They're just like, oh, so all of those things, it's like a gumbo. So that's how I came up with Style by Stevie and just the whole concept overall. Yeah.
All right. So, how do you prepare for your many interviews? Because I know that you've done like multiple interviews, like you've done with big artists, actors, and I just want to know, like, how do you prepare for those interviews?
Whew, baby, let me tell you. And he's right. I have sat with lots of people. I have to make sure that I'm up on game 24/7. The audience will let me know, like, no, you're wrong. Listen, I want to make sure that every single detail about my guest is correct. I have to do research. I have to make sure that I have their life story correct when I ask them the right questions. So boom, boom, boom. I'm pretty sure y'all have seen some of the interviews where the guest was like, they just gave me this strange look, like, how does she know that? Research, constantly researching, constantly reading, constantly informing myself. So I have to make sure that I have every single thing. Before I come on, I make sure that I have the facts and I have the truth, because people deserve the truth, especially in these times. People need to hear the truth. So when my guests say, yes, that is true, and they just sort of laugh and smile, or they ask, how does she know that? That's because I know I did my job at the end of the day. And that is doing research, making sure that you give people the truth. And that is key and crucial. So, yeah.
Um, in in the future, do you plan to take your show to live television if the opportunity presents itself?
Oh, yes. I would love to. I would love to have my own network. Like Oprah has her network. I would love to be the next Black woman to have her own network. And I would give creatives like yourself an opportunity. to have your show on there. Because you know, BET used to do the gospel. Bobby Jones, y'all remember Bobby Jones, Dr. Bobby Jones on BET? Every Sunday morning we get up. My grandmother was curling hair in the kitchen. I could smell the curlers and everything. And they'd have Dr. Bobby Jones playing on the TV. My grandmother, my father's mom, also too. And the Sunday service, the Sunday worship, all of these things. That's what I would do. It would be like that. It would be that nostalgia, that feeling. And I think a lot of us are missing that nostalgia. So that's what my channel would consist of. And of course, the show would be on there, but I also want to, like yourself, educate. I would love to step, not just in, you guys see me every day, but I would love to step behind the lens as well, too, and produce other shows that you enjoy. Have the producers there, yes, but I would also like to tap into that as well, too. So, yeah.
That's all the questions that I had prepared.
All right. There you go, Fashion Dolls. So, before we conclude, do we have any questions for myself or Devontae? Did y'all enjoy today's show? I had such a fabulous time. And we got to do this again. And what I want to say to people out here who's following their dreams of writing, of directing, of producing, of acting, do it now. Now is the time more than ever. And I put that on my vision board. If you guys missed it again, I showed it in the beginning of the show. One of the words on the vision board today is vivid. Your vision is vivid. And I want you all to remember that. It is okay to dream in color. I dream in color. I live in color. And I want all of you to as well too. Be colorful in your approach. Be colorful in what sets your world on fire. Literally, your passions, your dreams. There's my colleague Alvin Tittentat, this for that, and I want to give a shout outs to him. And I met him actually through another colleague, Bubs the God. Shout outs to Bubs and Harold and all of my family members in the Short Stack Revolution. They have also never given up on me. We support each other. And it's important that you have a village and a tribe of people behind you, supporting you and uplifting you. There are days when I do not want to get up. I was just like, Lord, how am I going to do it, Jesus? How am I going to get out of this bed and do this show today? I did not want to get up this morning, but I said, you know what? But God, you got to keep going.
Right.
You can't. Even when you fall sick, you're not feeling your best. You got to do the best you can. But I want people to take away from that. Again, another thing that I put on my vision board is fuel it. Fuel it. And that means fuel your vision, fuel the process. If you want to be a writer, go ahead and start writing. There are people who are already writing their own scripts, their own songs, who are already working alongside other people, shadowing other people that are in the business. So that's what I would say, dude. Another thing that I put on this board is independence. Because there was a time where I felt like I was strangled, literally, and I was silent. I was scared. I was shy. I didn't know because I didn't want to. But it's just like you got to put the truth out there. You got to speak truth to power. Sometimes the Bible sometimes talks about the black sheep. And we sometimes have to be that black sheep. We have to be willing to be an outcast. Be different. Dare to be different. So I'm breaking it down. I'm looking at the vision board right here. If you guys missed it, for those of you that are just coming in, that's the board. And as you can see, it's a lot of powerful women on there. And that's a reflection of me. So I always try to challenge myself. And when I find myself in a bind, I'm like, I'm not going to give up on this easily. My mother raised us to never quit. She raised fighters because my brother served in the military. And when I tell you, y'all think I'm outspoken and I got in trouble in school. No, he got it bad. I remember, and it was one day before we wrap, I'm going to tell y'all this quick story and then we're going to get the final thought. It was one day my brother got in trouble at school and we came home and I was getting out of the car and he ran past me and my mom was like, okay, I'm not going to chase you. I'm going to wait till your father get home. In the black household, if you know, you know. When you hear your mother utter those words, I'm going to wait till your father get home. You know you're in trouble and you know what time it is. So you better have on a nice long pair of pants. But my brother was in his teenage years, so he couldn't do that no more. But he got a nice talking to, let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's those little things. Y'all think that I'm outspoken, but my brother is too. It's like it runs in the family. My mother and my father have raised us to have our own voice, to have our own opinions. And when we find something challenging, go for it.
Right.
Don't let it stop you from what you're doing. So that was the moral of that story. But final thoughts, Devontae, because I had such a great time and I would love to have you back on again. So, what gems of encouragement would you give to people, and what is next for you in your chapter?
Uh, I would say if you ever find yourself at a crossroad where you feel like you can't go on, just push forward. Push forward because you never know what might happen. You never know who might be on that path to bring you forward. So you just keep pushing forward. Don't go back. Don't stop. Just keep going. Because if you stop, you never know what could have been.
Mm,
And what's coming up for me in the future, as I said, I just recently got a job offer to be a teacher and a high school music choir director. And one project that I forgot to mention earlier that I'm working on, I just started writing my own musical. So probably in 2 years it's gonna be released, hopefully.
congratulations, and not hopefully it will, and I will be sitting front row there, front row there. So to add on to what Devontae just said, which is about not giving up, today's final thought comes from James Russell Lowell. And James Russell Lowell, in his quote, says, "Creativity is not the finding of a thing, but the making of something out of it after it is found." So if you have a passion, if you have creativity, I want you all to tap into that. Tap into that. Tap into that. Find your sacred space. Find what makes you divine. Find what makes you unique, because we all have something special about us. It's deep inside you. Some of us have a gift, and there are some makeup artists out here who are bomb at what they do. And I mean, I would love to have them paint my face up, but it's amazing working with Melanie Nella, my Bridges, my beauty contributor, who always makes sure that my face is beautiful looking every single interview. And it's just like it's something different about her. She's glowing extra today. It's something she's highlighted. She's this, she's that. Y'all will point it out. And I don't want people to know the obvious, but y'all will point it out and love it. And I love y'all for it. And let me see, let me read the comments. The Angel Grant, music icon, she says, "Thank you both for a great interview. Congratulations again. Less than 2 years is happening." Yes, we're going to put it out there. It is happening. And the power of manifestation, God has given us the ability to be able to manifest things and put them fully out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you all to be able to manifest something that you're working on, that job position, that job offer, your business picking up off the ground. I want you all to, and I'm not going to sell you a pipe dreams, but now is the time, especially in the current climate that we're in. I'm not even going to get into it. Alvin knows. I had that time on his platform, so you guys can check it out over there at Alvin's Tit and Tat, this for that. But now is the time more than ever, because we are living in times of uncertainty. And to anybody who's feeling hopelessness, who's feeling despair, just know that darkness doesn't last forever.
Right.
And we will get to that beautiful bright light. We might not be here to see it, but trust the evil forces that are against us. God, God makes sure that karma comes back times two. That's all I'm gonna say on that. That thing will come back spinning. They won't even know what hit them. So don't mess with God's children. And that's something else that my grandmother would say. You mess with God's children, you messing with him, and he will show you. He will have mercy, and he will have his day. And that's what I want to close the show with. Joining me tomorrow, Fashion Dolls, and I want you guys all to be productive, be intentional about doing something. Be intentional about what sets your soul on fire. Joining me tomorrow, Fashion Dolls, we have Tony DeMille. And I will be interviewing Misha from real life and philanthropy. Make sure you guys go and check out the flyer and check it out. A couple of the cast members will be coming back on to the show, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, head on over and subscribe to Style by Stevie Daytime on YouTube. If you haven't, hit that bell so you'll be notified when new notifications of uploads of the show to the channel. And also, this will be uploaded here on the gram, so you guys can go back and catch the replay from beginning to end. And Devontae, let everyone know where they can follow you and check you out.
You can follow me on here on Instagram and Facebook. It's the same name. TikTok, Von Be the Opera Singer, and yes, and my YouTube is just my name, Devontae Brown.
There you have it, Fashion Dolls. Make sure you go on over there and sub to this beautiful brother right here. I love you all. And again, it might seem like a dark time now, but just remember the sound of my voice. Play this interview back every single time when you feel like you're going through a dark cloud, a dark period. Because we're in this together. And use your creativity, use your imagination. You're never too old to imagine. You're never too old to dream. Remember that. I love y'all, Fashion Dolls. Stay fierce, stay fabulous, and most importantly, stay styled by Stevie. Till next time, everybody.